Hi, I'm Aaron Baker. I'm a puppeteer and actor in The Red Tree. It's part of Red Earth production here at the Arena Theatre in Wolverhampton.
Hi, I'm Jess and I'm the assistant designer and maker.
In this workshop we are going to go through the principles of puppetry, show you some puppets from the show and show you how you can make a puppet at school. So now we're going to go through the principles of puppetry. I'm going to stick to three main ones, and that will be breath, focus and leading with the head. So we're going to demonstrate this with our hero puppet here, Inari, who is the puppet version of the lead character in the show, played by the wonderful Kiruna Stamell. The first thing we'll look at is focus. Now you'll notice that when I'm not looking at the puppet, you're probably not noticing her very much. Now watch what happens when I've got all of my attention on her. And without really doing much, you're already more focused on her than me. The idea is that eventually throughout a show, you'll forget that I'm here at all, and you'll be purely looking at little Inari. Watch how quickly your attention will divert away from her when I start to be distracted, and maybe I'll look over here. Oh, what's up there? Nice lights in the theatre, lovely, beautiful. And suddenly, she's not important anymore, and she's not alive anymore. The most important thing with puppetry is focus. That way our audience knows where to be looking, and that way the life of the puppet becomes separate to that of the puppeteer. Now the next principle I'm going to go through is breath. Without breath, there is no life. So what I like to try and focus on when I'm puppeteering Inari here is I give her just the smallest of head movements that I try and sync with my own breath. And that can change rapidly depending on the scene. So maybe if she's a bit scared, her breathing will be a bit quicker. She can calm herself down. See how quickly we believe she's completely alive, purely by the smallest of movements to let us know that she has her own breath, breathing life into the space. Now the next principle we're going to look at is leading with the head. So when we do anything as people, and as Inari here is a person puppet, we tend to, as people, we look at what we're going to do next. So if I was going to offer my hand to someone, I would often look at my hand and then give it to them. So we want to try and give this to the puppet as well, and have them behave as naturally as possible. So if she was to offer a hand, I would have a quick look with her eyes, and then she can offer her hand. This is what allows the audience to see that the puppet has their own agency as to what they're doing in a scene. It gives them choices, gives them purpose. And with this, it's also very important to always remember where your point of focus is. So for me, with this puppet, I've got this lovely nose that protrudes a little bit, and it's got a lovely line in the seam of her hair here, which I know completely lines up with her nose. So even if I can't quite see her nose, I know where she can look by the top of her head. So if I was trying to look at her hand, but I didn't know where the point of focus was, then she could be looking over here when her hand's over here. And where's the hand gone? Where's the hand gone? Ah, there it is. Now with these three basic principles of puppetry, you can quite honestly make anything come to life. It doesn't have to be a beautifully made puppet such as this one. It can be things you found in the recycling bin. You can roll up newspaper, you can tear up old t-shirts, anything really. You can bring anything to life by thinking of your focus, your breath, and leading with the head. So now I'm going to take you through some of the other puppets in our show. This here is our crab, called Zoea. Now with this crab, the legs are all on little wires here at the bottom, which gives them that little bit of jiggle. Because this puppet was only going to be puppeteered by one person at a time, we need to make sure that with very little manipulation, there was still a lot of life there. So the eyes have this lovely little wiggle as well, and it's all controlled from this little wooden rod from the back. So I grip this, and it's got all this movement where you can look down, look up. And we try and get that very scuttly crab motion. So this here is our snail puppet that I operate through this little rod at the back, and then I'll let you look at the back of that. If you see there's a hole just here, this is where my index finger goes in, where there's a trigger just underneath the mouth here, that when I squeeze it towards my hand, the mouth opens. So within the show, the snail has a fantastic song called Take Your Time, which I had a lot of fun singing, and a lot of fun trying to find the voice for the snail. And the most important thing in this song is that every time my mouth moves, the mouth of the puppet must also move. This can get really tricky when you're singing, because often when you're singing, you're being a bit quicker than you would with your usual voice in speech. To practice this technique, I would slow down anything you're doing. So if now I'm going to talk with the snail moving, I might just slow down and really pay attention to each syllable. That way, it always syncs up. And then you can start to get faster and faster until eventually you can be really, really, really confident with what you're doing. So start slow and take your time. So you might not have access to a puppet like this at home or at school, but don't worry, you can also still practice getting your lip syncing together. And you can do that simply with your hand. So focus on your hand and really try to pay attention to every time your mouth opens and closes, that your hand meets your thumb as it closes and opens. Really easy way to practice whilst at home. And you can see even I'm not that amazing at it. I've got to keep my practice up as well. Now, of course, we can't always get ourselves into a beautiful theatre like this and play with amazing puppets built by amazing puppet makers. But that doesn't mean you can't practice your puppetry. A part of puppetry I really, really love is anything can come to life. Now, we call this object puppetry. You can quite literally make a puppet out of anything you can find. Be that a hoodie or old clothes, maybe it's recycling you find in the bin, or materials. So what I'm also going to do is going to take this little styrofoam ball, really cheap and easy to find. And all I'm going to do is wrap it around, well, wrap the cloth around the ball as so. And what I've already done here is I've made a little knot at the bottom. That's going to just give me a little bit extra weight, something to sort of grab onto. And see how quickly something as silly as this can become alive. Again, just think about your principles, think about your focus, the breath, and leading with the head. One thing I think is really crucial, not just with any puppetry, but particularly with object puppetry, is giving a sense of weight. So if this puppet was to stand sort of on one leg, as it were, like this, what I'm trying to do is create a tension between the head and the foot. So I'm pulling down with my left arm on the foot, and I'm pulling up with my right arm that's controlling the head. This way, when I make the breath, really visible. And it also means that if he's going to look up, he's not going to suddenly just fly away, because then we've lost all of our weight to the ground, and that's a really big part of how we believe in things becoming alive. As soon as we notice it doing something that we know the laws of gravity don't abide by, that's it, the puppet's died and it's no longer living. And using those sort of principles can really start to inform your character. Maybe they're a bit angry about something, you can really or if they're a bit happier, it's a bit lighter, but you still want that weight to connect with the floor. Again, just think about all your principles of puppetry. Think about your breath, your focus, leading with the head, and this added one, weight. And you can bring anything to life, I promise you.
So this is one of the monster puppets we used in the Red Tree, and I'd really like it if you could have a go at making one. Let your imaginations run wild, because it can be whatever shape you want. Most of our puppets are made out of the basic shapes, rectangles, circles. All of our puppets are made out of recycled materials, so this one's mainly cardboard, newspaper, a bit of rubber, and the eyes were made from cake tins. And we added LEDs in the middle to make them light up, and they're really cheap online. So to start with, you want to get some cardboard, recycled cardboard, any shape and size, and you want to start by cutting out 3 main shapes. This will be 1 for the head and 2 arms. After you've done that, you can start adding eyes and a mouth, and you can do this with bottle tops, cake tins, paint, paper, whatever you can find. After you've done that, you can start adding fingers, hair, whatever you like. All you need is scissors, glue, sellotape, and a paintbrush. So this is one of our other puppets from the show, and just to show you from the back, it is a little bit messy, but that doesn't matter because it won't be seen. We have 2 handles, and this is how we control the puppets. This one, the teeth were made by cardboard and then adding some white tape on to make them glow. And the eyes were made from the plastic inside a Kinder egg. So this is a cityscape that we used in the Red Tree, and we took direct inspiration from the book to build this. So as you can see in the illustrations, the use of newspaper and printed words. We also took inspiration from the angles and the surrealism from the illustration. So to make the cityscape, we used cardboard, paper and paint. To bring it to life for the stage, we actually added a string of LED lights to hang in these windows, which looked really nice on camera.
We really hope you've enjoyed this workshop, and hopefully now you have the confidence to go and make your own puppets.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.